How long have you been practicing law?
What time is it?
It's 12:22 a.m.
About 7 hours.
Daredevil, Season 3, is a masterpiece. It is some of the best Marvel content we have ever gotten. Hell, it's some of the best superhero content we have ever gotten, period. And that's not to shit on other superhero media, although a lot of recent things have sucked. Looking at you, Thor, Love and Thunder. But overall, I do think most superhero films and shows have a usually decent level of quality. But Daredevil Season 3? This season is just next level. I kid you not, it is in the top 10 of all Marvel content ever put to screen, rivaling even the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. A show about a blind man with the superpower to see is rivaling the goddamn holy trilogy of superhero films. I say this with absolute certainty. Daredevil Season 3 is perfection. Pure perfection. So for today's video, I'm going to delve into the season, explore the characters, writing, action, and whatever else I feel like doing because this is my video and screw you. So let's get straight into why Daredevil Season 3 is a masterpiece. So this season follows up the events of the prior 2 seasons of the show and the events of the crossover miniseries Defenders. Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, almost died and is now being taken care of by a group of nuns and a priest who raised him as a kid. He has to recover from his near-death battle with the Hand and learn to balance his superhero life with his personal life. Meanwhile, we also catch up back with Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin of Crime. He was put in prison because of Matt and now wants to reunite with his love Vanessa and gain back his criminal empire. But we also meet 2 new characters this season, both of whom are FBI agents, Agent Raiden Deem and Agent Ben Poindexter. And let me just say this, these 2 are some of the best written characters on television. If this show was just about them, I would gladly watch 100 seasons of it. Now that isn't to say that Daredevil or Fisk or the other characters are bad parts of the show. They both are amazing, and the driving factors of the show. But these 2 FBI agents are just next level. Raiden Deem is a sort of secondary protagonist for the season, I guess. We follow him as he tries to get money for his wife and son, while also making a deal with Wilson Fisk to arrest other criminals, only for him to end up being blackmailed by Fisk and have to work for him. And Ben Poindexter is maybe the strongest arc of the show, but maybe just the entire MCU, minus only maybe Tony, Steve, and Quicksilver. I kid you not, Poindexter is amazing. We follow him as he struggles with violent thoughts and urges, and stalking a girl. Kingpin takes advantage of this, killing the girl that he was stalking and manipulating Ben into impersonating Daredevil and killing anyone who gets into his way. All 4 of these characters are just written so well, and credit to all the actors for doing an amazing job performing them. They bring this all to life and really just elevate the show to the next level. But here's the real question. If this season is so good, why are Season 1 and 2 weaker? Well, Season 1 is very good. It's more of an origin story for Matt, and overall it's a solid 7 out of 10. It has amazing moments, but that's just it. Amazing moments. And with Season 2, outside of the Punisher stuff, this season just lacks any real things that entice me or give me more of a reason to care. Hell, they're bringing an army of ninjas and do nothing cool with them. How do you have ninjas and not do anything cool or interesting with them? So yeah, Season 1 and 2 have amazing moments, but all it is moments. But Season 3 is amazing all the time. Every scene, every moment, just everything. It's amazing. Okay, not everything, of course. Nothing is perfect, well, besides Age of Ultron, obviously. But still, this season is as close to perfect as anything has gotten. It's up there with the likes of Adventure Time and BoJack Horseman. And if you guys have watched my videos before, you know just how much I love those shows. But it's not just these characters that make this season so great. It's also the way it deviates from the normal superhero storytelling and instead tells personal stories about people. The episode Karen that focuses on the character named, well, Karen. I mean, it's literally an episode with her name in it. What did you expect? It's like if you named a movie Spider-Man and then it focused on Spider-Man. What were you thinking was gonna be in this episode? But this episode focuses on her past before going to New York and meeting with Matt and Foggy. We see how she used to sell drugs and how she would struggle after the death of her mom. Karen deals with her problems and ends up accidentally causing the death of her brother. However, she doesn't get in trouble with the police and instead walks free. It's not an action-packed episode, but instead it just tells a story about a broken family dealing with loss. And it has no place in the same franchise as this.
Giant goat!
Like seriously, how is something as mature and artful as Daredevil in the same franchise as Black Widow and Thor: Love and Thunder? Look at the quality difference here. It's baffling. They made a masterpiece, and they made Thor 4 and Black Widow, and also Inhumans. We don't talk about Inhumans. Another great part of the show is the action. While action is fun and cool, it usually isn't my favorite parts of a film or show. For example, the fight scenes in Batman vs Superman are amazing, but why I really love that film are its characters. It delves into the mind of Batman and his anger, studies what it means to be a symbol of Superman, and just everything with Lex Luthor is perfect. And the same can be said with Daredevil Season 3. I love how it explores the characters in their minds. Seeing Matt push everyone away as he focuses solely on Fisk is heartbreaking. Watching how Nadeem slowly breaks his morals because he doesn't want to have his family be hurt is painful. And seeing Poindexter go insane and become Bullseye is incredible and frightening. I love the character arcs in this show, and this season especially. But the action in this season is also incredible, and it drew me in. Very few fight scenes across the MCU have stood out as peak. Off the top of my head, only 3 have really reached that level of amazement that a perfect action scene should. And that's not to say the rest of the action scenes in the MCU are bad. Most of them are enjoyable, and that's fine. Like, I enjoy seeing Iron Man blast evil Iron Men. I enjoy seeing Captain America go up against the Red Skull and other villains. But, again, that's just it. It's fun action, but I don't really care about it. And I think that really does hurt the MCU, but with Daredevil Season 3, it's on the next level. And I think the one fight scene that shows this perfectly is the scene where Agent Nadeem and Matt work together to get to the courthouse. It reminds me a lot of the fight scene in Man of Steel where Jor-El is helping Lois escape and pointing exactly where the bad guys are so she can shoot them. And this one really feels a lot like it. Matt using his radar powers to tell Nadeem where the bad guys are and shoot them down. It's heroic and tense, and you're actually afraid someone might die, because a big part of the Netflix shows was they weren't connected, so if a character died in here, well, they were probably dead forever. You were really worried. But they don't die. And they make it to the courthouse, and Kingpin is going to be taken down, and then he isn't. Fisk got to the jury. He was able to blackmail and threaten them. All the pain, all the punishment our heroes just went through to stop Fisk and Poindexter, it's all useless. And the fact that the show can build up to this moment only for it to be crumbling down, it's a testament to how good the show's writing is. Daredevil is gonna cross a line now. He goes to kill Fisk. He shows Poindexter that Fisk lied to him, and a 3-way fight ensues where Daredevil, Kingpin, and Poindexter fight, all trying to take down one another. Poindexter is paralyzed, and Fisk is taken down. Daredevil doesn't kill him, but he does get Fisk locked up forever. Until he comes back in Hawkeye, but in his defense, Thanos did kill half a full life, so I think we can give Matt the pass here. I mean, if a purple alien came down, collected some rocks, and then killed all half a life, I think a crime boss getting out of prison is the least of your worries. And so, Matt reunites with his friends, forging a new path while both Foggy and Karen reunite with him, making a new law firm and staying to fight another day. Until Poindexter becomes Bullseye, but that's for another day. But speaking of Poindexter, I'd like to take a moment and discuss him more in depth. Like I said earlier, he is one of the MCU's best villains, but I didn't really say why. Well, here is the why. A key thing to note when writing villains is that in most cases, villains should show the hero something that's wrong with them, face them with a problem the hero needs to overcome, and then ultimately have an ideological conflict. This can be as simple as good versus bad, or it can be more complex, like as killing one person or saving the lives of hundreds more. And of course, not all villains follow this, and not all of them need to. But in my opinion, the best villains all have an ideal that the hero needs to face. And with Poindexter, the conflict is nature versus nurture. It's more complex than that, obviously. It's not just like, oh, I was raised bad and you were raised good. It's about the fact that both characters had similar childhoods. Both were orphans, but whereas Matt was raised by the church and taught moral lessons, Ben was left mostly alone and never got a moral foundation a child should. Everyone he cared about left him, and it led to him being cold and distant. The one person that did show him kindness, he ended up killing when he didn't get his way. He eventually does go close to his therapist, but even she dies, leaving Ben all alone. And this is where the difference between the two comes in. Both have extraordinary abilities, but because of how they were raised and who they are as people, their differences come into play. Matt won't break his rules, but Poindexter will do anything to get what he wants. Ben, he isn't pure evil. An issue with many Marvel villains is that they are just pure evil. And while a few, like Yellow Jacket and Whiplash, work being pure evil, it tends to get overdone and ends up hurting the films they are in. Looking at you, Malekith. Poindexter is sympathetic. He struggles with his mental health and is manipulated to crime by Fisk, the true villain of the show. The villain who has been pulling the strings since the beginning. And yeah, Poindexter is one of the best villains in the MCU. Let's just hope Daredevil Born Again doesn't retcon this show, or any of the Netflix shows. They are too good to be erased. Except Punisher. Punisher sucked. So, last note before I go, I've moved video release times from midnight to 3 Eastern Standard Time. This gives me more time to make sure the videos are to good standards and lets me relax more, creating less stress. I tweeted about it last week, so you guys should all follow my Twitter account to see updates about my videos, my life, and see other stuff I post. Like, I retweet pretty much everything Avenger Time, because I don't have a life. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Have a nice day, and bye!